Yep, there's a lot of room for impersonation there.
What a great setup to our closing story. So we always try to end on something light and fluffy and just a little bit more fun. And this one is actually from last week, but thankfully you and Ken didn't cover it, so I had the opportunity to bring it forward. And I just thought this was hilarious. So there is a radio station in Australia. I'm not sure where in Australia, maybe in Sydney. In either case, somewhere in Australia. Yeah, Sydney. And first of all, the big news is there's still radio stations apparently, like with broadcast shows and all that, which, I stream everything, so I didn't know that. But anyway, there's this radio station in Australia that has a 4 hour segment, a show that is called Workdays with Thigh, that plays a mix of hip hop, R&B, and pop with this host Thigh, as you might imagine. And it has been airing for months, apparently, and it is entirely AI. The host is AI. The selection of the songs, I believe, are AI, and nobody figured it out. And I actually listened to a couple of the samples, and I got to tell you, it was pretty remarkable. I think for many of us, we just sort of have radio in the background anyway. I'm not scrutinizing it. If I wasn't actually scrutinizing, if I didn't have a reason to pay attention to it, at least in the snippets that I heard, I never would have thought twice. It was pretty amazing. And this is an example of where it's like, oh yeah, we can absolutely see this sort of impersonation. Is this? I mean, I'm not sure how much money they're saving. They're saving one host, but um, it quite interesting. Probably the last thing that I found interesting is there didn't seem to be a whole lot of uproar over this when the news got out. It was newsworthy, but what I haven't seen in any of the reporting is that people are like, oh my, and it's not like the Reddit, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got manipulated here that we were listening to an AI DJ. It's like no one seemed to care on this one. So it
Mhm.
is interesting the difference in perspective.
Well, to be fair, who really cares about radio stations anymore? But that painful note aside, I'm also taking some notes here, figuring out how do I set this up so we can just set up our AI avatars to do this podcast going forward. The technology is really amazing. Like when we have played with, say, Notebook LM, like an outstanding product that Google's made at least as long as it lasts. Um, but the ability to create voices and focusing them on the topic and letting them talk, they can be really good as long as they are fed the right direction.
So here, it would be a great little test. Maybe we should take one of our podcasts as a. I don't know if we can do this in Notebook LM, but it would be fun to like feed one of these in as an example, and then give it our normal because the way the sausage is made is Ian and I go through and we collect a series of articles and we weed out and say these are the 8 or 10 or whatever we're going to talk about. We could feed it those articles, say here's an example of the type of conversations we have in the analysis we provide. Here's our audience, and let Notebook LM go and generate a podcast for us. So who knows? Maybe we don't need to do this anymore.
Yes, we can just be the curators and the puppet masters behind the screen.
Well, I guess we will see. It's an interesting world that is changing all the time, and it's a fun time to be in the middle of all of it.
Extremely fast. I know it's why I'm so excited to get back in the games, right? It's like there's so much happening right now. You get to build it, and I'm just just sitting back here watching.
Lots going on. Definitely lots going on.